pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Moretti?
Yes.
Horn? Rondo?
Yes.
Hucker?
Yes.
Rosowski?
Yes.
Duff?
Yes.
Claiborne?
Yes.
Newman?
Yes.
Moretto?
Have we heard from Thorne? Anyone?
Brandon? No, I haven't.
Brandon. Oh, no.
All right.
I've not heard from
Then no motion to excuse.
him. So, have you heard from him? So that does pull up when you're into from first alternate to there. So, did you guys hear anything from him? I didn't either. So things happen. So okay. First off, before we get going, if anybody's got a cell phone on, can you turn it to silent, please? All right, so we're missing Brandon. I have not heard from him. Nobody seems to have heard from him. I didn't get any emails, neither did the village, so technically it's an unexcused absence. Do you want us to do a motion or anything? What do you want us to do?
Nothing's really
Nothing's needed?
necessary.
Okay, moving on then. Correspondence, I don't really have anything other than things going to cases, so we're going to move past that. That's going to go to a case, so we're not going to read into that yet. Approval of ZBA minutes for July 18th. I know it's been a while.
Motion to approve?
I will second. Anybody have any concerns, questions? If not, we can roll forward. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed? Okay, ayes carried. Moving on, presentation of cases, ZBA case 23-732, Michael Schwartz, location of the property 815 Laguna, Wolverine Lake, Michigan 48390. Basis for the appeal, 1250.06, setbacks from the property line R1LF requires a 35-foot lakefront setback or the average of the adjoining properties. 129.5 feet is the average setback, and the applicant proposes a 116-foot setback to construct a new deck. Can I have a motion to open that case, please?
Motion to open?
I'll second. Second. Mitch? Yep. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Schwartz?
Yes.
Oh, hi, how are you?
Hi, good.
I'm good, thank you. Okay, come on up to the podium. Give us your name and your address, and tell us what you'd like to do in as much detail as you have.
All right, hi, I'm Mike Schwartz, 815 Laguna Drive. I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry.
I thought there was a question.
What's bouncing?
Oh, it's me, I'm sorry.
Oh.
First time public speaker.
Oh,
Slack, I'm just, I'm
relax,
banging.
we're all neighbors, man, it's all good.
There.
There we go.
Better?
Yeah, relax. We're all neighbors, man, it's all good. Deep breath, you're talking to friends, go ahead.
Yeah, so the plan is to build a deck. So we moved into Wolverine Lake 3 years ago. We bought the house on Laguna Drive. It's a brick ranch. It was built in 1960. We bought it from the original owners. They never did anything outside apparently because it was just a green field grass lot with a nice brick ranch on it. So the plan was, we've been there 3 years now, got to know the community. All the neighbors are great. They invite us to their deck. We hang out with them. We don't have anywhere to invite them over. We can kind of sit in the grass and enjoy the grass, but don't have that. We're 130 feet off the lake, so the plan was to pop a deck out over the walkout basement and just have a deck out there that we can enjoy, have the neighbors over, have the grandkids over, play there, do what you do on a deck, basically. So then I learned that there's the average setback. Found out it was 129 feet, so we did the survey, did all the paperwork. So that sort of really limits our ability to put any kind of deck out there unless we move the house closer to the road, which is, I don't think that's going to happen. So, so that's really the hardship. We had no idea this was there when we moved into the house. We thought, we've got plenty of room out lakeside. We'll just pop a deck out and enjoy the lake views. If you look at the house from the lake, it's just a flat brick ranch. It looks like it's not finished, like something's missing. I mean, if you go around the lake, you see all the decks out there, everything looks beautiful, and then there's our house that's just kind of this generic brick ranch, so.
Right. Okay.
It doesn't add much to the lakeside at all.
Okay. Excellent, thank you. Anything else you'd like to add?
I think that's it. Are there any questions, paperwork?
We might have something we might come back to you on.
Okay.
Anybody that you brought with you wanted to add anything, or? You're good? Okay.
He's the other half,
Okay.
the better half.
Okay.
Good point.
All right, have a seat.
Thank you.
Would anybody in the audience like to speak on behalf for the applicant, opposed to the applicant? Closed to the public, open to the board for questions. Obviously with this one, I'm sure you've all looked at the survey. The biggest thing that kind of gets him is if you look at the property lots 54 and 53, you kind of jet out a little bit. You know, he's 130 feet with his, before, if you don't count his deck, where the other house looks like it's 151, but again, that property sinks deeper into the water. The other one's 135. So if you look at, as you go down that area of Laguna, you know, it kind of jets out and then kind of pops back in, because you notice lots 57 and 56, who actually have decks, actually have less footage to the water than one of them does that he's proposing. So still 116 feet from the water. Doesn't look like it impedes anybody's quote-unquote view. We don't have any neighbor concerns. I don't have any other questions, but if somebody else does, let me know.
Nope.
If not, we can go through our checklist if you're ready. You ready?
I'm ready.
Give me 1 second. Agree or disagree that the special or unique conditions and circumstances exist which are peculiar to the land, structure, or building involved, which are not generally applicable to other land, structures, or buildings in the same district? What do we think?
I think it's unique with the lot sizes that are adjacent.
Yeah, and again, you've got a couple of them that are actually a little bit, one's actually closer, one's fairly close to what they're proposing. You do have that area that kind of jettisons out, but I would agree with that. Mark, what do you think?
I think it's that unique, though.
I think it's,
And it's really
I don't think it's unique for the lake, but I think it's unique for this lot. It's a weird.
For the lot, but they're not the district.
Correct. So what do you think?
I'm going to disagree with that one.
It's okay. What do you think?
I kind of like to agree with it because of, if you look at it, it comes around that little bay point over there. So it being on the point, it does set the setback from the lake a little, it's just a little odd compared to like the immediate neighbors.
Okay. Bonnie?
I'm gonna agree.
Okay. Mitch?
Agree? Same thing.
I guess I'm going to disagree, only because I don't see necessarily any physical characteristics that are unique with it.
Okay. Agree or disagree that the literal interpretation of the provision of the zoning ordinance would deprive the applicant of the rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same district under the same zoning terms, and the variance is the minimum necessary? Does anybody disagree with that?
I agree.
Does anybody disagree?
No.
Why are we agreeing? Because other lots have decks that are closer?
Yes.
Well, and their setback from the lake is 4 times
The minimum.
the minimum. It's just a question of,
The average.
how the lot tree is, and, short of asking somebody to build a 900 square foot house. I just don't think that's fair, so I agree.
Agree or disagree that the special conditions and circumstances do not result from the action of the applicant, they are not self-created? Well, I think we can agree that this is a self-created problem because they are proposing a
Building a
deck.
deck. Right.
So, disagree on that one all around, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Correct. The granting of the variance, agree or disagree the granting of the variance will be in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the ordinance? Does anybody disagree with that?
No.
I do not disagree.
Agree or disagree the variance will not be injurious to the neighborhood or otherwise detrimental to the general welfare? I think we all agree there.
Agree.
Yes.
Agree.
Agree or disagree, the spirit of this ordinance shall be observed, public safety secured, substantial justice done. Does anybody disagree?
Nope.
Okay, at this time, we can take a, well, let me just do a quick review. So number one, we had a five agreed, 2 disagree. Number 2, we had unanimous. Number 3 was unanimous against. Number 4, 5, and 6 were unanimous for.
1, 2, 4, 5, and 6.
Yep.
So I make a motion to approve ZBA case 23-732 based off of 2.
1, 2.
No, we didn't agree on 1 unanimously. So 2, 4, 5, and 6.
We have a motion. Do we have a second on that motion?
Second?
We have a motion, we have a second on the motion. Any discussion on the motion? If not, we'll take a roll call, please.
Yes?
Yes.
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 You're good. Heather, you're good. Give it a week. Call up to the ladies at the Village Hall, find out where the permit is. Takes a little bit of time. Work with Tim, they'll be able to figure it out for you, and good luck.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
All right? Let us know when the party is. That's part of the deal. Now you can invite your neighbors over, so don't yell at us if they won't go home. Don't build a deck too big. All right. And you don't have to stay for the second case if you don't want to. But if you want to, feel free. All right, second case, ZBA case 23-733, 1147 Lakeview, Wolverine Lake, Michigan. Basis for the appeal, 1282.03 subsection B, repairs to a non-conforming building must conform to the zoning district. Applicant proposes to renovate an existing deck that appears to be constructed in the road right-of-way. 1270.08 subsection B, section 1. B, fence ordinance maintains that a fence cannot be mounted on a deck in place of a railing. Applicant proposes an 8-foot tall privacy panel connected to a wood deck. 1270.08 subsection D, section 1, fences in a required front yard cannot exceed 30 inches in height. A 5-foot 8-inch tall privacy panel is proposed. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually do 3 different things on our checklist. We're going to go 3 different questionnaires. Okay?
However,
I was gonna say, we have this letter of clerical errors.
Correspondence.
What do we do with that?
Oh, no, I haven't read it yet.
So that, since that is less, it's a lesser,
need it.
so we can still consider it, but it's still, I think it still needs a normal size railing, so somehow we are having
I thought
But
item 2
normal-
would be.
not, okay. But then the fence area still is 48 inches, which is not.
Okay.
So I guess if that's,
Fucking can't read.
Tim, does that negate the need for a variance for the?
So privacy panel's done.
Okay.
Yeah.
So.
So 1270.08 section D is done.
Right.
So the other 2 are still in play.
What,
Can we mount it on a deck in place of railing?
Did you read this or no, Tim?
Yeah, but I don't have.
Do you want to read it? Thank you. Just so we know what we're doing.
So the privacy panel, but then the second one also says the privacy
yeah,
panel.
Mr. Chair,
Yep.
it seems like the second item, 1270.08C-1B, wouldn't that, seems like that would be removed.
This one that's negated,
Right.
the second.
Yeah, that's the one I'm
variance.
reading. I just read it twice, and it looks, that's how I'm reading it, because we were asking for a variance for repair of the porch with normal size railings, 36 inches, not a privacy panel. The fence area will be 48 inches, same height as the proposed gate. States the fence cannot be mounted on a deck. So it looks like if they're going to do a railing instead of this,
36 inches tall.
So we're good. We don't have to worry about number 2 then, the middle one.
Okay, so number 2's off.
Okay, so 1270.8 subsection C, section 1B is off. So we're only dealing with 1282.03, section B. Does everybody understand that?
Yep.
Okay. And thank you for submitting that to clarify that. Okay, so, motion to open the case?
Motion.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Nebraski, if you can come up, give us your name, your address, and what you are now proposing.
Hi, my name is Phil Dombrowski. I live at 1147 Lakeview. And what we're proposing to do, well, I'll start by telling you our house was built in the early 1940s. The original owner added an addition sometime in the 1960s before they paved the roads and kind of widened and took a, I don't know, I guess an easement is what they're telling me. So that automatically made a lot of everything I do on the outside of the house, well, questionable now. So basically, the deck there, or the porch that's on the back, was assembled in the 60s. It's all rotted and it's not safe to walk on. So we are asking to just widen it just a little bit. I'm going to have the steps recessed in according to the drawing. I don't know if you've seen that, but that's all we're proposing to do. And then we wanted to move the fence just along the grass lawn line, make it easier to actually put a fence in. So that's all.
Okay.
The type of fence we were going to put in is to match similar to what I have out in the front already, which I had a variance for 4 years ago, the pergola. So I'm going to do the railings and the fence panel to look like that.
Okay. And those are going to be 36 inches, right?
The railing will be 36, the fence I was planning at 48.
This is why the variance is needed.
Okay. All right, anything else you'd like to add?
I think that about covers it.
Okay. Go ahead, have a seat. I will open to the public. Would anybody like to speak on behalf of this?
That's me.
Go on up, give your name and your address, and what would you like to say?
My name is Gary Schloff, SCHLAF, 1132 Lakeview. I live diagonally across the street from these folks. All I can tell you is they're good neighbors. They've improved the house. They showed me what they're trying to do, and I'm in support of it.
Okay.
Okay?
Greatly, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Would anybody like to speak against this? I see no one, so I will close to the public, open to the board. Does everybody understand what we're looking at?
Now I have a question for clarification, please. So you want to enlarge the deck by 2 feet?
Yes.
Repair it and enlarge it. You're going to put a standard railing around it of some kind, 36 inches, and then you want to put a fence line along the grass here? Was that where this line is drawn? Is that what I understood?
Yeah, it's parallel with the addition on the house.
Okay, and that's what you proposed at 48 inches?
Yes.
This fence along here, okay.
Yeah.
Does that start at the beginning, abuts up to the house along the side of the deck and out, or does it start at the beginning of the deck and go out, or?
Well, the deck is only 20 inches off the ground.
Yeah.
Then the fence will be from where the deck ends, 8 foot out.
Okay,
The railings would actually be taller than the fence, because if the railings are at 36 and the deck is 20 inches high, it's 56. The fence would only be 48, so technically the fence, the fence would technically come up to like about here.
right.
I'm just using, I'm not
Because
saying
the
this.
porch is elevated, is that
Correct.
correct?
Yes.
Okay,
So technically, the fence would not be as tall as what his railings would be.
yeah.
And then how far is the fence going out?
8 feet, you said,
Okay.
from the corner of the deck.
Yes.
Yeah.
So clarifies. What is the reason for the fence going out 8 feet? Is it dog, cat, privacy?
We have pets, yes, we have to keep the pets contained.
Okay. And so is that fence going to run back to the garage then, to keep
Yes.
them contained? Okay. And is that also going to be 8 feet?
Yellow line there.
Yeah, it appears to be about 8 feet from the garage to out to where the lawn is right
So you
there.
go out, kind of come back.
And there'll be a 4-foot gate in there, right along the garage line.
Mr. Chair, may I?
You may.
The village does have a concern, which, I mean, it's obvious as that is part of the reason for the first need for the variance regarding the encroachment. So however that happened, who knows, and we don't know exactly what that encroachment is, and perhaps there isn't one. But that's the issue. It looks like there's one from the information we have, but there's not a survey, a legal survey, which is not really the village's responsibility at this point, but we have suspicion due to the, which you can see, the GIS from Oakland County, which has been provided, and that's generally, you know, definitely not like completely accurate, but it gives a good, fair idea, and it's a general consensus from the expert, Mr. Brandt, that it looks like it could definitely be, you know, an encroachment. So what the village is looking for in conjunction with any of your determinations, and if you might be willing to grant a variance for this, that it be conditioned upon a survey being provided by the applicant to show where everything is. And it looks like, I mean, potentially, Tim was saying the house could maybe be encroaching on the right-of-way is part of the village's, you know, street. So we would want to just get that when we have these encroachments, and just the nature of the village as it is, you know, you're not the only one, believe me. There's lots of crazy things that over the years have kind of occurred, and just the way the different subdivisions were laid out and how things just have been developed. There are a lot of issues. So what we like to do is give an easement for that, and then you're legally protected as far as you've been given an easement to have that encroachment from the village, but then also the village is clarifying and knowing like, hey, this is our property, but we're allowing this to occur. So that's what we're looking for. If you are inclined to, you know, give a variance, that it would also be conditioned upon them providing a certified survey showing where everything is, and then if there are encroachments, then working with the village to get those cleaned up and get, you know, something recorded that shows that the encroachments, and that you're, you know, that's your right to encroach. Now, if you get your survey and there aren't encroachments, then great, then the condition wouldn't apply because it wouldn't need to. But we just don't know right now, you know, where everything is, and it looks like there are encroachments onto village property. So that would be part of, you know.
So you want them to do a stake survey?
Just the survey, like what the other,
Yeah, like
you know,
certified survey.
a certified, whatever that is, not staked, but, you know, a legal, or a certified.
Well, a mortgage survey is going to have a plus or minus of a couple feet.
Yeah, we're
one way
saying
or the
hire a
other.
surveyor and have a survey, show where.
Yeah, but you know, when I checked into getting a surveyor a few years ago, if you notice the odd shape of our lot, my neighbor inquired one time if we'd be interested in selling off that odd corner of our lot so they could have a square backyard. Well, I called to get a survey, and that was like $6,000, then plus getting it sectioned off, all legal documents, it was gonna cost $14,000 just to give a guy 50 feet of my backyard, so, and he didn't want to pay that much for the property, so. And I guess my point is, you know, it's gonna cost me $5,000 to repair my back porch.
Well, I'm not sure, I mean, I don't know what the costs are, and you're, you know, I don't know if every single surveyor, if you look for surveyors, shop around maybe and just get a survey of your, it's not for purposes of selling off a piece, so I don't know what I can say to that.
I have a question, because I'm having a little trouble understanding why is the need. I mean, we asked for a variance before on this same amount of land of putting in the pergola, and a survey wasn't asked then, so why are we being asked
It
now?
wasn't, probably because it just slipped through the cracks and it didn't get noted that there's this encroachment. And so the village administrator.
And it can't be moved, nothing we can do
No,
about it.
for sure, of course.
So what is the point of it?
The point of it is to make sure that legally, I mean, it can only benefit you. If you go to sell your property and someone looks and says, oh, part of your house isn't even on your own property, it's encroaching on the village's property. So it might have been that way for years, but legally, it's an encroachment onto the village, and the village is looking now to get that.
Okay, can I ask a
get that
question? Like I
clarified.
said, I started out by telling you my home was built in the 1940s when those were dirt roads. And we owned at one point the property to the center of the road, according to what, the lady that lives across the street is the granddaughter of the original builder of the house. So, I mean, a lot of the history of the house I hear from her. But in the 60s, when he built the addition, he still owned that property. It wasn't until the 70s when the village decided to pave the roads and everything, that's when they took and actually took part of his property as right away for.
Well, if that's
I
a
guess
legal
my point I'm
process,
making
so
is,
I
aren't I
can't.
grandfathered in as far as, I've got the house and everything was existing before they changed all that.
Mm-hmm.
And all I want to do is just repair my porch.
Right, well, like I said, that's what we're looking for, is to just get a survey to see where everything is, where it really exists. And it's our position, maybe you can talk to the village administrator, you know, if you have concerns with the cost and work something out. But that's what my instructions were in our discussion about it, that it is your property, your house, whenever it was built. It's not really the village's fault. It's not your fault either, but it is what it is. So, it's just something that we've been doing that. There are a lot of the road endings. That was a big procedure that we did throughout the village, where there were a lot of different encroachments. People had, retaining walls. There were different parts of homes, and we are giving encroachment easements for those as well, to know who's responsible. Now, if your property is on the village's, there's liability issues too. It's never come up, but if your home is on village property, that could be potential liability issues or things of that nature. Just, it's a legal process. So that's what we're looking for, is to figure out where everything is. Don't want to take anything away from you. Of course, not asking to tear down your house if it's encroaching on village property, but it's just a fair request to get this cleaned up. And it can only benefit you, because then recorded, if anyone looks to see what's happening with your property, if you go to sell it, it'll be explained and recorded, and you're protected.
But we're not even sure if these red lines are
Correct.
completely.
So that's why we're
That's
asking,
part of the
this
problem.
is not, it's not a legal certified survey. So I don't know if you had a mortgage survey when you purchased it, which is not,
Mortgage survey is not accurate.
right,
States
but I
it
don't know
on
if that would have shown, even though it's not certified, but what that might show. But yeah,
We don't even know if we're showing.
Yeah, and if there's no issue, then there's no issue, then.
But I think we're putting a really big burden on our resident. Now, I understand what the village wants, but based on what you just said for the last 5 minutes, you have no certainties that his house or the deck, and I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm looking at it from a perspective that he wants to just fix a small little deck here, maybe add a little fence, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. But you're talking about having, and I know what surveys cost. I'm in the real estate business. He's right. This is going to cost him $10,000. And it's going to take him probably 2 months to be lucky to get a survey person out here. Now, have we discussed this with him when he decided to put this together? So maybe he could have done a little bit of research on this to see if he even wanted to go down this path? Now, what if his house is over on the village property? To me, I think if the village wants surveys done, they should be working directly with the residents to find, to have a surveyor on
This
site.
is a legal issue, so.
Well, I agree it's a legal issue, but that's why we're here.
That you're.
But again, we're now asking him to then, in my opinion, do the village's homework. Because we don't know that this is. And when this house was built, He's right. They all of a sudden decided to do the roads back, 70s, is that what you said? 70s for pavement of the roads?
1970, as I understand,
Okay.
they paved a lot of the roads through the village.
I mean, if that's what the village wants, I can't stop it. I just, from my perspective, I think this is just really unfair to put this on the resident himself, to say, here, go out and spend $10,000, 8 to 10 grand on a survey. I just think it's very unfair. But if that's what you want, that's what
I
we'll
think that it's
propose.
something that, then can be worked out with the village if it's a true financial hardship in that case.
Of course
I
it's
don't know.
financial hardship. It's $10,000. It's
Oh,
not
I
like he's
don't
going to
know that.
lunch, it's 10 grand.
Craig, you don't know that.
No, I do know that because I'm in the industry. I do know that.
And I could understand if I was actually adding on to my house and it was encroaching over the village property like that, and it was questionable. We're talking about a back porch. We're talking about, it's gonna cost me almost $1,000 with current material prices, but it's gonna cost me $5,000. I had put in for the permit and that got turned down. I had to pay the $320 to come here tonight, and I'm a retired person. I don't have this to keep putting money into it. I'm just trying to make my house livable. This is getting ridiculous.
And improve it. I live across the street, and improve it. This is going to stop it.
And it's like, we're not asking to add on, we just want to fix the porch, just keep the fence a little bit, that's it. And it isn't like, we're building another structure. There's going to, be square footage added.
Guys, I can tell you, this is the first we've heard of what she's discussed. None of us have heard anything about this because we can't discuss cases prior to coming here. I understand the village's position. I think what we should probably do is go through this case, and if that's what the village wants, I suggest talking to the village administrator and seeing how that can be resolved. I can't resolve that issue for you because I don't have that power, and nobody on this board has that power either. If we decide to move forward and get something figured out for you on what you're proposing, then, hold on one second, please. And then at that point, you meet with the village administrator, with the attorneys, and try to figure out a way. Unfortunately, we can't figure that out for you. I mean, I do feel bad for you, but I can't figure that problem out for you. So we only have so much power here, and the power we have is to decide on what you've brought to us. Now, the village wants you to do survey work, and if that's part of it, if that's what the village wants, you'll have to deal directly with the attorneys as well as the village administrator. I
So how
apologize.
about I suggest then you can go through and you determine whether or not you want to give the variances, and then it can be conditioned upon the approval of the survey with discussion between the village administrator, so not conditioned upon you having to get one, but part of your condition is that the applicants discuss with the village whether or not a survey is required, and if the village administration and legal determines that it is required, then it would be conditioned.
I think it takes
Subject to, and if the village wants to work with you or says, okay, we understand, we aren't going to require one, then we can go from there as well. But we can get this done right now and then move on from there, leaving it open to discussion with the village.
Yeah, I think it takes it off of our plate as a zoning board, puts it back on the plate where I think it
I mean, we're
belongs,
not
which
trying
is
to,
the administrator.
I mean,
Is
we
everybody
want to work
comfortable
with
with
you,
that?
so.
Yes, I am, based on what was just mentioned.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the survey isn't needed, because I don't think that's our place to say yes or no. I think that's going to be up to the village and the administrator and to the applicant if they choose to go down that path.
Yeah.
I think we deal with what has been proposed to us, approve or deny based on our process, and kind of go from there. And if it's approved, they'll have to take that next step. Is everybody comfortable with that?
And that next step being you having the meeting with the administration and legal to determine whether or not and how that would work out, right?
Correct.
Correct, yeah.
So the condition would be subject to a determination by the village as to whether or not the survey is needed.
Is everybody good with that?
I agree.
Yeah, I don't know what else to do.
Mark?
That's what I think we can do.
Okay, all right.
Question.
Yes.
I was on the zoning board in Boston for a number of years, and that's what we were there to resolve, these problems with the city, the problem with the ordinance.
I'm here to resolve the problem with the ordinance. I'm not here to resolve the problem with the city. Yeah, so, I mean, I understand what you're talking about, but what our job is as the zoning board is to go into this book and work what's on this book. If something comes outside of this book, it's not the zoning board's job to figure out yes or no, is that the right way to go? And from our perspective, you're putting it on us to say, go out and spend 10 grand to get a survey. When we don't,
Legally, we can't.
I don't think that's our place. I think the place for that conversation is between the attorneys, yourselves, maybe your attorney, and the village administrator. I don't think it's the place of these 7 folks up here plus myself.
Well,
That makes
just to
sense.
clarify, though, it is within the purview of the ZBA to place conditions upon an approval or a denial.
Yes.
Right. Yeah, and part of the conditions is they're going to meet with you guys, and you guys can hopefully work it out.
Correct.
Is everybody good with that?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, awesome.
So am I going to have to go before the zoning board?
Again, no.
Okay.
No. Well, depending on what we figure out tonight, no. I'm going to give
Say
you,
you have to be determined.
yeah, well, let's
Really
just see how the rest of the night goes, and then I can answer that question for you. All right. Where were we? All right. Does anybody have questions on anything? Does everybody understand what the applicant is trying to do?
Yep.
We're closed to the public. We're at the board now.
So we're doing checklist once.
Checklist once, apparently 1282.03 subsection B, repair of the non-conforming building deck. So, we don't have to worry about rails. Tim, do we have to worry about the fence?
That's the front.
This is the side yard.
So we're good.
Property, isn't it?
Corner lot, they have always the front.
They're proposing a 48-inch fence, but it's not going to appear that high because it's by an elevated deck, but technically it's still 48 inches high,
Right.
not 30 inches high.
Not 30 inches. So you got a fence in front. One. And non-conforming deck.
And repairing the existing deck and making it
2 feet wider,
2 feet wider.
Yep.
deeper.
So checklist twice.
This deck. Yeah, so it's obviously coming front to back, because technically you can't go any wider because it's as wide as the house. You're talking about the deck coming farther out from your house, not width-wise, right? Okay. Just want to make sure we're on the same page.
And the nonconformity is because it is encroaching.
Potentially encroaching on, yeah.
It needs 25 feet to the water line.
Say that again, Tim, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Front setback, the water's 25 feet. So
Right.
no matter what you do,
It's non-conforming.
it's not conforming. You can't do anything.
Technically, the whole house is non-conforming.
Exactly. So the water
Oh,
lane,
well, we can't remove the house.
the water lane front yard is.
Sorry?
Still doing it.
All
I
right.
think,
So we're saying-
we have 2 different variances.
So we still
Okay, I
doing the
think we have to do it
checklist
twice.
once
We have
We
2
have to
different
do it twice.
variances.
Checklist
Yeah.
twice.
Checklist twice.
with,
Checklist twice, once for non-conforming, once for fence.
Yeah.
and with the same,
B and D1, from my understanding.
Yep.
Correct.
so that one's back on.
Yeah, so the last one is technically back on, so that one should be crossed out. All right, so let's go through our checklist for 1282.03, Section B. Agree or disagree that special or unique conditions and circumstances exist which are peculiar to the land, structure, or building involved, which are generally not applicable to other land structures or buildings in the same district.
I agree.
Well, it's unique. I mean, it's the fact that it's the whole house technically looks like it's non-conforming, if it's kind of how these drawings are. Does anybody disagree with that?
No.
Mark?
No.
2, literal interpretation of the provision of the zoning ordinance would deprive the applicant of the rights commonly enjoyed by the other properties in the same district and the same zoning terms, and the variance is the minimum necessary. Does anybody disagree with that?
No.
Because again, the whole house technically appears to be non-conforming, that whole
Yeah.
deck. Give me 1 second.
I think this variance is to
repair the existing deck, and that deck needs to be repaired for safety reasons. Is my thought for that one.
For number 2?
For number 2.
No.
Agree or disagree, the special condition and circumstances do not result in the actions of the applicant, they are not self-created. I think in this instance, it's not self-created because the house was obviously built at one point and somehow it looks like it may have become non-conforming based on the road being put in the 70s.
70s, I agree.
I agree with that, yeah.
Anybody disagree with that? This might be one of the only ones that actually, this one actually works. Mark, good with that?
Well, the only thing about that is they're making it larger than the original structure. So technically, then it is self-created.
It's still not conforming, even if it
Doesn't matter, it's still self-creating from the standpoint of,
Yeah.
you're making it larger. So no matter what, it's still self-creation.
And I'm Dennis confirmed.
Okay, and that's fine.
I support that too.
You know what, I disagree, yeah. I
Well,
agree
let's
with
kinda
what Mark's
talk it
saying.
through. What do you think?
I think because it's an age deck, that's what initiated this repair. It wasn't from them like just out of the blue wanting a new deck. So
I agree.
I agree because it's a repair.
Right, it's like an act of God, the boards need to be replaced.
Bonnie, what are your thoughts?
I agree.
Yeah, switch mine to agree. I was thinking that, I'm sorry.
You're fine. This is why we talk this out. This is
I know
why
they're
we do
talking
this.
about a 2-foot addition, but they've got to repair the deck. They've got to do it.
Yes, I agree. All right, so you're still disagreeing, right?
Yeah, I'm still disagreeing.
That's okay. That's okay. That's why we talk this out. That's not a problem. Granting the variance will be in harmony with the general purpose and intent of this ordinance. Again, I'll agree with that because again, it's a non-conforming deck. It's a non-conforming house apparently. Everything is too close to lot lines, so it doesn't matter what they do with it, it's not going to change. But what do you guys think?
Agree with that.
Agree.
Does anybody disagree? Agree or disagree, the variance will not be injurious to the neighborhood or otherwise detrimental to general welfare. I think we can all agree with that.
Yep.
You can say there's neighborhood support as well.
And there's, which is for 5? Neighborhood support. Thank you. Swipe in your right hand. 6, agree or disagree that the spirit of this ordinance shall be observed, public safety secured, and substantial justice done. Do we agree with that?
Agree.
Does anybody disagree with that? Okay, somebody besides Mark, because everybody needs practice at this. Mark, it's second. We need practice. Because you might not be here one day, and I got to call on somebody else. So we are going to do a roll call on just the first one, and then we're going to go back through the checklist again on the fence issue, and then do a second roll call on that. Is that how you want to do that?
Yep.
Okay.
Separate variances.
So now we're ready for a motion. All but Mark. Mark cannot talk. We're taking away his microphone.
I'll motion that we accept on, what was it?
State the case number.
State the case number.
State the ordinance.
We have some new people, so we're trying to get them into the flow of kind of how things are done.
Make a motion that we accept ZBA case 23-733, basis for appeal 128203, section B, for repairs to a non-conforming building must conform to zoning district. Applicant possesses to renovate existing deck that appears to be constructed in the road right of way.
Conditional on.
Conditional on working with the village administrator and legal to follow through with the survey.
Questions on
Requirements of a legal site survey.
Requirements of the legal site survey.
I'm going to say based on which numbers?
And based on, I had 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6 analysts.
You could use them all technically because we all actually were, but yeah, those are fine. All right, so we have a motion. Do we have a second? Mark seconds that motion. Gotta be quick, Bonnie. Mark's quick. It's late in the day, Mark wants to go home. All right, discussion on the motion. Does everybody understand what we're doing here?
Yes.
Just adding 2 feet on the deck. Roll call, please.
Tucker?
Yes.
Kozlowski?
Yes.
Duff?
Yes.
Claiborne?
Yes.
Minnaletti?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
All right. So we're good there. Second part of this is 1270.08, subsection D. This is about the fence. Fence is going to be 48 feet, and the max it can be is...
48 inches.
48 inches, excuse me, thank you. 40 feet, that'd be a tall fence. Max it can be is 30 inches. Okay.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve.
No, hold on, we gotta go through checklist first.
All righty.
Okay, agree or disagree that special unique conditions of the circumstances exist which occur to the land, the structures, or building involved, which are generally applicable to the other land structures or buildings in the same district? Does anybody want to change their answer from the first? We all agreed on that one based on the deck. Does anyone want to change it based on the fence?
No.
I do.
Oh, sorry.
I disagree that there are special conditions. They're putting up a fence that's higher than the ordinance.
I agree with
There's no
that.
special conditions about that, so I disagree.
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 Okay.
Yep, I disagree.
You guys disagree?
I'll disagree.
Yeah.
I do as well. I mean, they could technically put a fence in there. That works. Agree or disagree, the literal interpretation of the provision of the zoning ordinance would deprive the applicant of the rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same district and the same zoning terms. The variance is the minimum necessary. We all agreed on that for the deck.
I disagree.
Disagree.
I disagree.
Yeah, I disagree.
We all disagree?
I just need a second.
Take your time. Just comes down to 30 to 48.
Right. But it's their front yard, but it's their side yard because they're on the corner lot.
I disagree.
Yeah, I disagree.
Yeah, I do as well. You could work with a 30.
What's your reasoning then exactly?
I mean, basically, I think the reason is that we're not seeing a reason why the deck has to be, the fence has to be taller than 30 inches. And we're not seeing a reason why. We haven't heard a reason why. Agree or disagree, the special conditions, circumstances do not result from the action of the applicant, they're not self-created. That one, we had a 5-to-2 agree to disagree ratio.
I disagree.
Disagree.
Yeah.
Disagree.
Does anybody agree with that? And are we disagreeing because we feel that they could do a 30-inch fence?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it 30 inches for a side yard?
Yes.
No.
No, it's
No.
That's what
48
keeps
for
throwing
side
me off,
yard.
because
No.
I keep thinking, because we're talking, it's their front yard.
It's their front.
It's a
sign.
Speaking of a 6-foot tall fence on the side.
Right, so that's why I'm just trying to think through in my mind, because it's a corner lot, so that's why I keep coming back to that discussion in my
The
mind.
ordinance changed,
Yeah,
and allows a taller fence off the side.
right. So
It's not a
that's
side, it's
But
front.
because it's a corner lot.
They have two
It's
front
fine.
yards.
two fronts. So I don't think it's self-created. They didn't.
I don't know.
Okay.
For that
Does anybody
reason,
else want to change that
having
answer
two front
based on the
yards.
fact of that?
That they have two front yards.
Yep.
It's a reasonable argument.
Mark?
No, I still disagree.
Disagree.
Yeah, I still disagree.
Guys, what do you think?
Still disagree.
Okay, so we have two agreeing and then 5 disagreeing on that one. All right. Granting of the variance will be in harmony with the general purpose and intent of the ordinance. Last time 7 people agreed.
I agree.
I agree. If we
Well-
grant the variances ordinance too, I think it will be in harmony because of this unique corner lot. And it is going from the deck over to the garage. I think it will be in harmony with general purpose. I don't think it's going to cause harm.
Technically going to be shorter than what the deck and the rails are going to be.
Yeah, it should be like 52
It's actually
inches
going to be a step
flat.
down.
I'll agree with that.
Do we all agree with that?
Yes.
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 Agree or disagree, the variance will not be injurious to the neighborhood or otherwise detrimental to the general welfare. I think we can all agree there.
Yep.
Yes.
Agree or disagree that the spirit of this ordinance shall be preserved, public safety secured, substantial justice done. Do we all agree there?
Agree.
Yes.
Yes.
Again, Anybody but Mark. Because we all need practice.
We'll make a motion to approve ZBA case number 23-732, section...
No,
733.
Pardon, say again?
733 is the case number.
I'm sorry. Yes, I'll make a motion to approve ZBA case 23-733 for section 1270.08 subsection D1 for fences in a required front yard cannot exceed 30 inches in height, based on the checklist items that we have. And that would be, can I use all of them?
4, 5, and 6.
4, 5, and 6.
Okay. Based on items 4, 5, and 6.
Second?
Okay, just so to clarify, so the...
With condition though, right? It still is tied to this.
Well, we still need a...
It's all going to be tied to the original condition of them working with the village in regards to if a survey is required. The fence that they're proposing is 48 inches, just so we make sure we're clear with that. Okay.
I second that.
Second by... Okay. I meant, excuse me. All right, everybody good? Questions, discussions? Roll call, please.
Yes?
No.
Yes.
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 No.
Yes.
Okay, 5-2, so it passes. Okay, so everything passed for what you proposed. You have to work, you have to give the village a call in a day or two, find out what they want to do in regards to whether you need a survey, not need a survey. And unfortunately, that's a little bit out of our hands, but this is approved, conditioned upon you working that out with the village upstairs.
Let me ask the attorney a question. Okay, the board approved us to go ahead and do the repairs needed. Now, what is the survey going to accomplish for, on your end? I mean, you've already been approved to do it. Now...
Well, it's been approved subject to working on the survey.
Yeah, it is conditioned.
What is the survey, what is it going to
Well, that's
mean
something,
to us?
you can talk to we'll talk to the administrator about it, but it's basically just giving a legal right for you to be encroaching and doing this extra work and expanding the encroachment, putting new work on something that is encroaching on the village property. So we just want to make sure, we're not trying to keep you from doing it, but there's just certain legal things that are necessary.
I just can't
So-
get my head around it right now.
So I just suggest, just think about it, and tomorrow, we can I'll talk to the administrator. He will, I'm sure, be watching the meeting, so he will be aware as well, but I'll make sure, and then can give him a call and go from there. I know we'll try our best to work it out with you. We're not here to try and cause the residents unnecessary stress, but there are some things legally that's just how it is.
For somebody in the real estate industry, I do think you need to figure out this problem, one way or the other, whether working with the village or not working with however you figure this out. Because if you ever wanted to sell your property, you would have to disclose that technically part of your property, if this is true, could potentially not be your property.
So in other words, I should probably go back to Oakland County, because that's who we bought the property from, was from Oakland County. And because they didn't disclose any of this stuff, maybe I should file a lawsuit against Oakland County for selling us property that we can't do anything with.
That we can't answer for you. I mean, that's something if you want to talk to your attorney and talk to Oakland County.
Over 7 years, so I'm sure there's no statute of limitations that's what that.
If we are encroaching, what...
I think this is
above the
Yeah.
this isn't really, yeah.
I think it's just trying to define what you have.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you for passing it.
And again, the village is trying to protect themselves, and they're trying to protect you, and just make everything good. So we'll just give a call tomorrow. Mr. Gillum will be aware of what's going on, and
All right.
we'll work something out.
Thank you.
Okay. Good luck, guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right, new business, review of the revised ZBA application.
I like it.
Anybody have a chance to read through this? Looks pretty good.
It does.
Anybody have any concerns, questions, complaints?
I have just a couple, not concerns or complaints, just simple things on, I guess it'd be page 2, under the second sentence there, which is item 2. Would we want to consider adding the following verbiage to that, which would say, no less than 5 weeks prior to the requested ZBA date?
Where are you at? Zoning Board Appeal process?
Yes, under item 2, applicant submits zoning board of appeals application and all required information to the village. That's what it currently reads. And my suggestion would be to just include that that it is necessary, no less than 5 weeks prior to the meeting date.
Technically, we already have that in page 1.
I mean, we do have that.
I don't care if that's what you guys are happy with. It doesn't matter to me.
We certainly have it. I just don't know if you care to expand that and put it on there too. So,
I don't care.
something I saw.
What does everything about it?
I see your point, but it's already.
Seems redundant.
Under when to apply.
I mean, I think it's a valid point, but I do think we hit it already once in the public hearing. It talks about a timeline.
Sure.
Actually, take that back. We actually hit it twice. We hit it on when to
Yeah,
apply
I know.
in public
This section
hearing.
is defining the process, and it's part of the process, right? That was my thought for including it, but.
Add it in.
Yeah, let's add it. I mean, you know what? Can't hurt.
And people don't read.
No, people don't read.
They don't.
They don't.
It's part of the process.
So I'm good with it. Do we need to take a vote on this or anything like that, or just say we want to add that in there?
Add it in.
Guess we want to add in the timeline for that.
The other one is, I guess it'd be page 5, but this is the application to the zoning board of appeals. Under meeting date, it says date files. Should that say date filed?
Which page?
It's the
It's on the application.
application.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, I think that's a typo.
Yes, I think so.
Good catch.
And also with that page, also, should we include a line for signature of the applicant? Because I don't see that included. I see the name of applicant and address, but there isn't a line for a signature.
On the back.
On the back page, there's a line signature for the owner, but it doesn't say applicant.
The owner would be the applicant unless a letter is submitted stating that somebody else is submit. Well, you can't submit something on behalf of another owner. So the owner is the applicant. I can't submit something on your property.
Well, then why do we have name of applicant?
Well, it does say applicant and/or property owner, so, I mean, that should probably be taken because we're requiring the property owner. So we could have an applicant as well as a property owner, but we always have to have the property owner.
Yeah, because couldn't the applicant be a contractor? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you could, you buying a piece, a house, needing a variance, conditionally buying a house.
True.
Yeah.
Or if you're a land contract purchaser.
As long as you have permission.
Approach the ZBA to see if you get a variance, it's good for 6 months, you make your deal in 6 months, and then you go, and the person sells the house.
Okay, but we couldn't listen to that case without written permission from the current property owner, right? Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with that. Let's
Yeah, I think that's a good
add it,
idea.
tweak it up. Sure.
Some more
Changing
clarification.
What part then? Because I mean, and/or I guess kind of covers.
Yeah, I think and/or would be great.
Well, we have that in there where it says signature of property owner. I guess we just make another line for signature of applicant. That's what you're saying. At the very bottom? Is that where we're?
Yeah, I think we're talking about the back, the end of it. Where do you see and/or? I don't see
So
and/or.
it says just, we hereby
Oh,
swear.
applicant and/or property owner. So maybe we should just take this verbiage and match it to down here. So applicant and/or property owner, signature of applicant and/or property owner.
Yeah, or just have another line, and if there's
Sure.
an applicant, we'll just do 2 lines, and if the applicant is a property owner, they just can sign once. If there's 2 different parties,
Sure.
then they'll both sign. So we can add that.
That works. I'm good with that. Anything else?
No.
Okay, thank you for catching.
Well, where was that typo? Sorry, I missed that.
First page,
It says date files instead of date filed at the top.
Gotcha, okay, great.
Can't blame me, even though I'm the king of typos on
Same
that
here.
one.
So there's 3 changes that I'm noting.
Yep,
Okay.
all right. Council, anything?
Yeah, so, chicken subcommittee, met a couple times, figured out what we wanted to do. Send a recommendation over to council. Council approved sending that over to the lawyers to draft a, ordinance. And we might be able to review it by the next council meeting. So.
Do you want to share or can't share?
So one of the main things that came up is it prohibits lakefront owners from having any type of fowl for various and sundry reasons, mainly if the animal gets loose. We basically narrowed it down where you could have 5 of any one type of fowl, so chicken, duck, or quail.
On any lot off the lake?
There's setback requirements. If I remember correctly, it was 25, or no, it's 30 from your neighbor's property, 10 from the lot line.
Did you say quail?
Yeah,
And it limited it to 12?
12 total applicants.
To start with.
Yep.
So somebody could have 12?
No,
12
12
permits
In the whole
Oh.
village.
in the whole village.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
But 5 is the max.
5 is the max, preferably not just one solitary bird.
Right, or I think they said 2 is the minimum.
2 is the
Because they need a
minimum.
friend.
Yep.
That's what they said,
Well, we all
yeah.
do.
And the vet has to, they have to be
Yeah.
checked by a vet initially.
There's a bunch of very
That's awesome.
prohibitive
Good.
things.
And standards for how the coops will be built.
Yes.
nice.
And how are we going to keep an eye on said coops when we can't even keep an eye on things inside people's backyards?
Pavilions on lakefront.
Since technically the code enforcement officer can't go in somebody's backyard unless invited, how's he going to keep an eye on that? Just curious.
That's all part of the permitting process, apparently.
But do we have guardrails in place to say there's an inspection every
Yes.
30, 45, 60 days?
Not on that frequency, but there is an initial inspection, and then each year there's an inspection.
Okay.
So,
No male, no
yes,
roosters.
no roosters or drakes. So,
That's good.
Glad I live on the lake. Okay, good. All right, what else? Anything else?
Nope.
All right, no table business. We do not have a meeting in October. Quickly, I want to go over November and December. I know Mark has a scheduling conflict for November, potentially Aaron does as well. Anybody else have, at this point, it may change, so I'm not going to hold you to it. Do you have a scheduling conflict for November?
That's
It's
Tuesday.
this Tuesday of Thanksgiving week. And I'm asking that because I know a lot of people
21st?
travel that week.
21st, I want to say.
I don't have it in front of me, but I'll believe
It
it.
is 21st, yeah.
Yeah, at this point, I'm good.
I don't think I have a conflict, not that I know of.
I'll know within the next
I-
month.
I can't say at this point.
That's okay, and I don't, if you don't know, you don't know.
Right.
But we got 2 that are probably out, and that's fine. That's why we have alternates.
Right.
So we still leave us with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so we still have a quorum, so we're good. What about December? December is the 19th?
I have no issue with that.
And I don't know if we're gonna have cases, we don't know yet. Does anybody have an issue with December? We just kind of want to get in front of this because of the holidays, just to make sure. So it looks like, Tim, we can have meetings those months at this point if needed. Are you aware of anything kind of coming up, or is it a little too early to tell?
Yeah, I never,
Got it. No, I get it.
wants to
Down the road.
follow through with the, a lot of people don't want to come to this.
Well, typically November and December tend to be a little slower, so.
I have a question. If we didn't have cases, would we still be required to come back, though, to take care of any end-of-the-year business, such as,
It is what it is.
terms?
No, you didn't. No, you
Typically,
didn't.
we do in December.
I know that was a question with planning.
Typically, we
You
do
did
in
your job.
December. If we have,
Pardon?
if
No,
we
you were
have
fine.
terms that are up,
Yeah, right.
I mean,
Yeah.
we've got to do that before.
would we have to come back in December anyways to do kind of an end-of-year business? Because I think, do we have terms expiring? Okay. If we do not have terms expiring, then no, we don't.
Approval of minutes.
Didn't we do it in like advance or something last year? I thought so.
Now, what we can do is
We have
if,
approval of minutes, though.
We have to approve the minutes of tonight sometime.
Which could be
We can do
done
that in January,
October,
though.
November, or December.
but we
right?
can't because we would have to then, don't we at the end of the year assign president, all that stuff again?
First of the year.
Conceivably, they can't pursue a circuit court case without approved minutes.
Okay. So either we're going to have to meet in November or December for these minutes. So why don't we just play it by ear and see where we go? At this point in November, it looks like for sure we got one gone. We don't know about the second one. Even if both are gone, we have enough. If we do have to come in here for one of those, we'll just do it quickly and get in and get out of here. It will be a 10-minute meeting. So, I mean, if there was no cases, there won't be any public, well, there could be, I guess, technically, but odds are probably not. But, well, I think we'll be fine. So, okay, anything else you want to talk about? No? Okay. All right, well, happy Halloween to everybody, and we'll maybe see you in November. Meeting adjourned.